Hello again, Rita, and welcome to the Search for Meaning podcast. I'm so absolutely delighted to have you on the show. And firstly, I would like to introduce you, Rita, to all the guests that will be watching or listening. I'd like to introduce you. So, Rita, how do you pronounce your second name? Because I don't want to get this wrong.
Okay, like hooray, hooray, but
Hooray,
with the
hooray.
Z on. So Hraiz.
Hriaz. Okay, Rita Hriaz. Hriaz.
Mhm.
Welcome, Rita. So, Rita is a student of life, a student of ageless wisdom, esoteric psychology, and solar philosophy. Rita has so much wisdom and so much insights to share that can benefit us all. So Rita loves to help people to align to their soul and their true self. In essence, this is like coming back to your heart, remembering who we are, to be able to live in a harmonious life with your heart and mind and soul coherence. So I'd like to welcome Rita to the Search for Meaning podcast, as we are searching for meaning and purpose in this life to nourish our souls. And before I pass the mic on to you, Rita, I just wanted to share with you what I found. So I googled what your name means. So Rita,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you've probably done this, but this is what I got. So Rita originated from the name Margarita. So in Spanish, it means pearl or a daisy. And the name Rita in Spanish is associated with creativity, passion, and determination. And in the Sanskrit word, Rita it means fit, right, or true. And the meaning is brave or honest. It's really, really beautiful to hear the meaning of your name, to know what we've been given, what our parents gave us at birth. And
Yes.
in the Vedic concept, I hope I'm pronouncing this right.
Vedic.
Vedic, that's right. So Rita is a noun that refers to the cosmic moral principle of order.
That's true.
It establishes regularity and righteousness in the world.
That's true.
Beautiful. I know it's true.
Yes, the day that I finally understood it, because even the Tibetan lamas, they always call me Amrita, which is where what you just said comes from. And then I started having my email addresses. I am Rita.
Yeah.
And then when I finally read it, as Google manifested, and saw that my name actually means to drink the nectar from the cosmic divine order. And then I was just so blown away, because that is actually what my life is. So maybe I should start with that. What is cosmic divine order?
Perfect. Yeah. What is cosmic divine order?
Yeah, thank you for that, though. I love it, because I remember reading it in Spanish, but what really did touch my heart and help me actually understand the perfection of everything, even through all the suffering, was my name, actually. Because when I was a little girl, my parents, I grew up in the 60s, and everybody who ever heard my name would say, "Lovely Rita, maid," and I would really not love that bit. And but it progressed when I came to my own awakening. That's when I first actually understood the true meaning of my name. So what is cosmic divine order? So, Julio, you mentioned this already. My study for the last 30 years in this body, in this life, has been something called esoteric psychology, ageless wisdom, solar philosophy. And that is actually a study of humanity's spiritual evolution. to really look and understand what's our purpose and how do we evolve as a race? What is it going to take for us to be able to crack through the false matrix and make our connection to the source of all creation, to feel worthy, to feel our spirit? What is it going to take to get to that place? And there is actually a cosmic divine order laid out in relationship to the literal awakening of a human being. And that has been laid out by the really high masters over the centuries through all different traditions, whether we're talking about the Christ, the Buddha, Krishna, the Prophet, Muhammad. Ultimately, these teachings that I'm going to share in a very condensed way today around what is cosmic divine order, how does it actually connect to our spiritual awakening, and then let's look at the whole of humanity right now, what's going on, because there is an unprecedented awakening. How is it that all different paths have always had a teacher that's coming from the source of creation to help the people in that region, in that era, to really awaken from the dream and progress and move forward so that we can become an awakened, enlightened society? And that's something I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit about today, because that's so related to cosmic divine order. If we just take a moment to look at this mandala behind me, that is actually a transmission coming from something called the color chakra. And that is the wheel of time through time and space and different dimensions, bringing through a transmission from a place called Shambhala that really exists. It isn't the mystical Shangri-La that people think is just a figment of people's imagination, but it actually is a place that exists, where 960 million cities of people that are in their absolute awakened state, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, live in fulfillment without need for money, without the need for heating and cooling their region, because the very fact that they have made their way back to the primordial wisdom of their spacious, clear light, they're suddenly manifest the perfect environment where there's lotus groves and they can eat from food on trees and everything's very effortless in comparison to the dense reality that we're in, that feels like we're in some crazy movie matrix where darkness rules the earth. So cosmic divine order is natural law, and it's the law that makes the radiance from the sun inform every blade of grass, the rhinoceros species, the cheetahs, the fish, the birds, every single species on this earth, every single individual flower on this earth. The light of the sun is so vast, so warm, and so intelligent. And the light of the physical sun that animates all life on this earth has another sun that's behind it, that's called the central spiritual sun, that is even vaster than the physical sun that's radiating the light to animate everything that grows on this earth. But how I want to put cosmic divine order and this divine intelligence that creates the geometric relationship between the sun and the moon and Venus and all the planets and their orbits, and the geometry and the beauty of what they create as they orbit around each other, because they all have different patterns. That light that comes beyond the physical sun, that's coming from the central spiritual sun, is the actual omnipresence of God's consciousness, that is an intelligence that's actually here right now, in front of you, in front of me, in front of every human being, behind us. inside of us, above us, and below us. So humanity's awakening is very much about getting still enough to open ourselves to this direct relationship with the teacher, the beloved, that's transmitting direct instruction to each and every one of us all the time, but we can't hear it because it's spoken in silence. It's through the presence, the omnipresence, that this vivid intelligence is informing us of, should we have that conversation, say that thing? Should we activate that inspiration that we've received to create that new business, that new offering of our service that would bring us fulfillment? And it's a very different frequency of energy than where we usually operate from as human beings, which is through the left brain mind of planning, where we pushed the creator and God consciousness away because we're in fear, struggle, survival, or in power hungry, egotistical expression where we want to position ourselves as superior to other things around us, that then makes us keep creating all these constructs, which, as you know, and as I know humbly, that as we awaken, we just realize, oh my God, that's so full of shit. Or everything I keep creating collapses and isn't fulfilling and is a struggle. And my ego doesn't really know how to direct me into the right activity within the divine plan. So there's something else that can direct us when we get humble enough and when we've purified ourselves to actually call upon the creator of all existence to literally guide us, to influence our day in each moment. And that in itself takes us into a very deep level of alignment when we've got to the point where we don't think we can do it all ourselves anymore. If you think about people who go to Alcoholics Anonymous or, whatever, Narcotics Anonymous, Gambling Anonymous, and they all work within 12-step program. I've never done the 12-step program, but I do know that one thing that they're doing is recognizing that if they want help to get out of the hole that they've dug or inherited, they have to call on this higher power. And the thing is, this last 2,000-year period where darkness ruled the earth, for sure, we gave our power away in our innocence a lot of the time to the guru outside of ourselves, or the church, or this authority. And as we're awakening, and we've watched how many people misuse their sexual energy along the way and suppressed through selfishness, greed, and profited from innocence and hard work. Most people at this time, a lot of people have distrusted that outer teacher or teaching, quite understandably. And then in that are now being massively distracted. A lot of people, you think of generation of my children, I'm 61 years old, Julian, it's worth me saying that on here. And if I think to, let's say, my daughter that's 22 that grew up with Snapchat and the levels of distraction on TikTok, on anything that people can go into, that keeps them in avoidance of being with this presence that is informing them and giving them direct guidance that would bring an incredible outcome to each of our lives, because it's an individual teacher for you from that presence, that nobody else has that capacity to be that intimate and see you that deeply than creation and existence itself, the omnipresence coming from the one. So this divine order, this cosmic divine order exists through everything, everywhere. But when we look through the eyes of duality, we are then caught in good, bad, right, wrong, and we can't witness the good, the true, and the beautiful. We can't understand evolution itself. And then we interfere and attempt to lay our little construct that makes even a bigger mess on top of a mess. So there is a cosmic divine order around our wake-up process, which I'd love to share some of it with you at some point.
Yeah, that's a lot of golden nuggets right there to take in. I've definitely experienced that disconnect and that disharmony within myself, and hopefully I can share what we share, people can relate to. Like you said, people are distracted by the external things that are going on, and it's that disconnect, promoting more disconnect. And there's the saying, which I've always heard before, everything you seek is within. I've known that saying for so long, but you can know something just by the words and not really embody it. But then I had a light bulb aha moment, like, so that's what it means to come back to myself and listen to that inner voice that's guiding us within. And it's always speaking to us, like your intuition. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, like, today I'm not happy with myself. Like, I need to do this. That's like message from the divine, but it's really hard to, not hard as such, but you have to quiet your mind to really listen. And a lot of people I know are just, they're in that state of disconnect where they feel lost, and they're trying to come back into harmony with themselves. Things are not going the way that they should, that they've planned, it's just so much. But for people that are struggling in that sort of sense, with that disconnect, now how do we bring them back to that awakening, to quiet yourself, and instead of looking for validation from other people and looking for, to affirm what you're thinking, how do we encourage or help people to come back to themselves and trust their inner voice and to trust themselves?
So there are many, many ways and many paths to bring us home to ourselves. But one thing, when we first begin awakening, we can think that we need to be that person to show another person the way. But actually, it takes incredible muscle and discipline to stay in the presence internally, individually, every day in every situation. Now, what I've seen, I have different lineages that I'm very strongly connected to, and they're all profound, like, from very high Tibetan tantras like the Kala Chakra, this thing behind me, which is a very deep practice. And I'm only a student of this. I'm not in any way a master of this, but that is through the power of mantra, visualization, and a very deep understanding to bring us to have that connection with the spacious, clear light of our primordial self that is not the concept of who we think we are in this life. So that is the objective of most paths and tradition, to bring us back to that place. But one thing, as you described, connecting to the presence, it made me think about certain plant medicine ceremonies that I've been to in the past, and how they absolutely reveal the nakedness of the absolute presence. Because you're in that place where you have to look at yourself, look at your shadow, what needs cleaning, But at the same time, so often, and I'm talking about all different plants that I've worked with over the years, you also get to see the absolute pristine divinity where it's so bright and so strong and the presence is so immense that you cannot ignore it. And you get to deepen your relationship with the Great Spirit. But ultimately, it's this for anybody who feels lost, that, viewers that are watching this now, the beginning of it is to consciously call in the holy I am presence of all that you've ever been, all that you ever will be. To really invoke the light of the spirit of your eternal self that is stainless purity. You have to actually call that in to guide you, the ego of the left brain mind of the one that's thinking, to actually begin a conscious relationship of the one that's watching that is unconditional love and not judgmental, that isn't beating yourself up and putting you down, or anybody else for that matter. There is the one that's watching. It's the silent watcher that is connected to the presence, that is connected to the magnificence of the immutable, immortal self.
Just had to sit with this one a little bit, Rita, because it's so profound. Like what you describe is so profound to actually experience it and to experience that true essence of love in a non-judgmental way. I can truly say I feel it within myself, and I see the disconnect in other people, and I just, it doesn't break my heart, but I'm like, come on, this is the way, like, back to your heart. So Rita,
Can I just say one thing to that?
yeah,
and then
please.
I'm going to make space, please, for you to ask anything. But I really want to say something to that, because that's what I meant about when we first start awakening. We can fall. There's a book called Halfway Up the Mountain. We can fall into this despair because you want everyone to join you in this place because it's a much richer place.
Yeah.
However, the heart is absolute compassion, has patience and tolerance and deep understanding for the wounding that keeps people stuck on the emotional treadmill, or wherever they are, whether it's in addiction, self-berating. I mean, for me, it's very hard to see people vaping and smoking tobacco, because I just think that's a very basic thing of self-harm. Okay. And I can't bear it, actually, especially if it's my kids and stuff like that. But I have learned to just recognize that who am I to try to make right or wrong when our creator gives us lifetime upon lifetime to master and perfect ourselves, and is just there with unconditional love. So I don't believe in that God in the Bible that's judgmental and punishing. We punish ourselves through when we awaken to go, oh my God, how have I been this unconscious and caused this much harm? That is pain to burn in the awareness of our shadow. It's not a punishment from outside of ourselves. And yet there is cause and effect, and there is karma. And yet that can be dissolved through prayer, through mantra, through humility, through actually daring to have a conversation with the creator and asking, please forgive me, creator spirit, for the harm that I've caused and the ignorance of my decisions that have created such messes. Please help me to purify this in this lifetime. And then we can, because look, I'm saying this, Julio, because I have definitely fallen from grace in so many ways, so much. and went really deeply unconscious to the point for years I was like, how did I do that when I am a spiritually intelligent person? You know, and it was painful for me to see where I had fell. But I am now seeing, the more I forgave myself, let go of being in guilt and shame, and had compassion for the one that fell, because of that part was unconscious through the conditioned imprints I'd inherited. And at the time, you know, it can all be dissolved again.
It's really mysterious. Life is so mysterious. So you going through a stage of where you fell off and being unconscious. In the grand scale of things, I think that was meant to be.
Yes, it's
and
true.
you needed to know that I'd say low side of yourself to experience the other end of the opposite end of the
Completely.
stick. So it's there's like I always say this, there's divine order in the chaos,
Absolutely the truth.
and
There is.
and the lessons that you had to learn within yourself,
Yeah.
and to forgive yourself, because
Yeah.
I see a lot of people falling into this, like you say, emotional treadmill of like, oh, I feel bad I did this, and they're carrying this cognitive bias of
Yeah.
their previous failures, and they're bringing it into the present, saying, oh, I can't do this because I failed in the past, it's not going to happen. And
Yeah. It's true. And you know, over the years, because, you know, in my case, in my nakedness of my own story, was I went unconscious. I had 4 children from 3 partners. There was drug addiction involved from the partners. Not all of them, one of them, but 2 died. And it hurt me to realize that I wasn't in right relationship, and I couldn't provide a mother and a father for my children, so that they weren't nurtured by the fathers, which is beautiful talking to you, because, you know, you've come through presumably Afro-Caribbean, and 3 of my sons are, their father's Afro-Caribbean. And just the pain when I felt the DNA, and the pain through slavery, and then the different levels of trying to avoid that pain, and then the addiction, and then what my kids inherited. You know, it really hurt to see that I didn't provide them with the stability of a conscious father. And so I went into so much guilt, and I wasn't in balance, because basically, as a working mother, I couldn't give them a level of presence each of them deserved. And, you know, in my work running retreats all over the world, I've interviewed thousands of people, and most people's damage is through the lack of presence of the mother and the father. And yet, like you say, there is perfection and beauty within it. And that's actually been reflected to me by my different children. And one particular time where I had done a very deep journey shamanically inside. And then finally, as I looked at the suffering of all different communities and races all over this earth, and then I realized the perfection of what I had incarnated to bring in my unconsciousness was also my bodhisattva vow and the biggest gift, because then I've spent at least 20 years of my life in the deepest prayer for wanting to support people to get off of drugs as an addiction, where they waste their life and waste this sacred opportunity. There's a lot of cluttering in the background, isn't there?
no, there isn't.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, so helping people to come off that treadmill that they're on, especially now you mentioned like imprints through our DNA, our ancestral DNA. This was a hard one for me to learn, Rita, was to learn, what are my driving forces? Are they mine? because there were certain things that I did, and I'll be open with it, like smoking and just using alcohol and certain drugs. But then I'd take the drugs and I'd be like, no, but I don't want to do this. So I'd wake up in the morning and be like, no, I'm going cold turkey. Nothing like this today. I don't want to be like that. But then come evening time, it's like an impulse, like a driving force right from my solar plexus, which is it's like it's drawing me to this thing. And if I don't get it, like I'll go crazy and stuff like that. So that driving force, I didn't like it. And through my own meditations, and like I've literally sat down and meditated with the drum, trying to get my mind, my brain into theta state, so I could try and like reprogram my subconscious and see what's driving me, what's driving me to make certain decisions. And in a deep meditation, I went in with the intention to release what no longer serves me, and whatever's not mine as well. And through this meditation, through my mind's eye, I got to actually see what a shadow is and how they lurk within us. So a shadow is like it's an energy that's attached to us that feeds off your impulses. And then like during the day, I'd say I'm going cold turkey, but nighttime comes, I get triggered by a certain event. Next thing you know, I'm picking up a cigarette and I'm smoking. That's the shadow feeding off that. So having that understanding of what a shadow was, and then asking for it to be released, like that meditation was just so profound. Like I sit and journey 20-minute meditation. I could sit down, put a drum on, and it's banging, and I go into meditation state. So that drive that I was getting from my solar plexus, like from my heart, that energy force that was pulling me to do certain things, it was gone. It's like the weight it come off my shoulders, and I wasn't carrying any more baggage. And by the way, I've stopped smoking.
I love that, darling.
Yes.
That's so good. That's so beautiful. And you've really described it very well. There is actually a book called Wetiko, about what Wetiko is. And Wetiko is spelled Weitiko, or
WEI.
Could be, sorry, WEIT, and it could be EKO.
Okay.
Or IKO, one of those two. But this book is absolutely helping us to see super clearly how these dark forces of the shadow run through bloodlines, but also can chase you through lifetimes as a soul. Because obviously every lifetime you're taking a different body. That's an amazing gift, because it's the union of your mother and your father. That is so unique, that created you. But it's just a lens to look through. In fact, it's got many gateways and lenses to look through. So your body has 1,000 points of light, which is your meridian system. Then you've got your major chakras, your minor chakras. They're all gateways of consciousness that open you into different doorways of expression and what you're having to clear. And this is probably the most important thing I say today. The reality is, in every single lifetime, on Earth, which is considered by the Vedas, for instance, to be one night's dreaming in your soul's evolution. In fact, many of the high paths will bring it to that truth, including the Aboriginal people, even including the Matacames of Mexico. They all see this to be one night's dreaming of our soul's evolution. So why we're here with this body, you with your body, and what you've inherited, is actually the capacity to transform and transmute everything that wasn't conscious and love. And then you're gifted, because that helps you to accumulate merit that becomes the light of your soul. That's amazing. And it's literally, there's a cosmic divine order to this, because when you leave your body and that cord is severed, all the merit that you accumulated through your good deeds, words and actions, your selfless service, your offerings, your sacrifices, your loving kindness, your ability to uplift, your arduous commitment to work several hours a day in service of another situation, all of that life force energy and merit is generated as prana, as chi, and that actually becomes electric fire. It's electrical, and it's absorbed through your chakras and your light body and your etheric field. That doesn't die. That just moves back to the causal ocean where your soul sits. And then your soul gets to grow brighter and more in your uniqueness. So our actual evolution as human beings is to get to the point where our soul is able to be transmitted through translucency as a radiance through our body and through our speech and through our mind and through our emotions. And that will change humanity when we as a race collectively become soul infused. But we are all first have to get past. So this is a passage in time called the Age of Purification, but it's overlapping with the Light Age, and we're coming into the Age of Love, or what this transmission behind me is all about. We're coming into the Golden Age. We're preparing for it. We are the change that we want to see. We have to clean up everything that wasn't loved through the bloodlines and forgive it. And then harness that thing that you said, because we've all got it. You know, some people it's with sugar, other people it's with sex. Whatever it is, everyone has got this place that they use addiction to numb the pain, to get the dopamine, to avoid being with the true self.
My question is for you, off the back of that, Rita, is how would you know coming into this lifetime in this body what we're supposed to learn to be able to evolve as spirits?
Do you mean for each individual person or
Well,
for collective? I would say
for
what we
collective, yeah.
learn, individually, is how to meet everything presented to us in every moment with discernment, discrimination, and light, love, and wisdom. So we become vessels that are hollowed out so that we become a transmission coming from the central spiritual sun. So it's like an embodied peacekeeper that is deepening a quality of mastery. And eventually, how it's looked at in the Ageless Wisdom and Esoteric Psychology. So the first two initiations, first one is coming into right relationship with your sexual energy and how you speak and what you think. Second is how to get off the emotional treadmill and stop being in the separation of blame and the victim. So that's the alignment between your solar plex to heart. So the first is the throat to the sacral. The third initiation is when you've been so developed in the law of being harmless in action, word, and speech all the time that now your crown chakra can open enough for the light of your spirit that's made of cosmic fire and a very big voltage to travel unimpeded all the way down the central channel that runs along your spine to activate the sleeping serpent that's here stored and coiled with potency and vitality and enormous amount of power, that power is not allowed to be released and activated until the person's purified, otherwise it would kill them. or send them into a psychosis.
So to get telltale signs of how of your own purity, I'm just gonna hypothetically give an example. So like, if you find yourself in a pure state, it means like you're immovable to any sort of external stuff. Like your emotions you stay grounded when you're getting attacked. All you see is love, because you could be seeing a person's mask. So, for example, somebody's shouting at me and they're angry. And to tell my level of purification is how I actually respond in that moment. Do I respond with compassion? Do I respond the same way they're attacking me? Or, or do you have peace? Or do you take things personally? I think that's a telltale sign that your body is telling you that, you're not quite there yet. If you're taking things personally, like if somebody says something, like you can't control what other people say, then all of a sudden, oh, you've pissed me off, or this. And there's some sort of disharmony there where the love is not fully embodied, because it's like you're still in that judgmental phase. And so that's my idea.
So there's called initiations. So in cosmic law, in esoteric psychology, that's the thing that is taught to us, is there are different stages of wake up. So that first and second stage are the hardest to get through. And that second stage is all about to not take it personally. How do you get out of your solar plex of being irritated, agitated, upset on a high or a low? Is only by consciously resting yourself through your heart space and having compassion for that person's ignorance or anger, rudeness or disrespect. Because they can't be loving and warm and respectful if they don't love themselves and they have never been nurtured and they haven't done the work. So at the beginning of this, you asked the question about how do you tell around your purification? Well, in reality, our spirit is stainless purity. But for most of us, it's not grounded and embodied through the body. That's what our evolution is. That takes time. It takes several initiations to get to the point where you've become a distributor of that level of power in the light of love and wisdom. So that takes mastery. And that's what the purpose of our lives is to get to the point where we've now mastered certain things. But in every single life, we still have to come through a mum and a dad who've got their stuff that you inherit, and you still have to work that through before you wake up.
Lots of unlearning.
Yeah, so that, like masters, like I always consider my root teacher as this 8th century tantric master called Padmasambhava, and he is known to be lotus born. So he just suddenly manifested on a lotus, stainless, in northwest Pakistan, and he taught many of the high Maha Siddhas in India. And what he taught was something called the Mahamudra, which is non-dual consciousness beyond left and right brain mind, and the path of love called the diamond path, how to transmute even being raped through the heart, because he had lots of female students at that time. And, like that teaching, imagine now we are in 2024, and this 8th century master has had students all throughout the centuries that really appreciate everything he taught them and still get so much value of it. That's true high mastery. And actually, it's not that different to the Christ as Jesus 2,000 years ago, as in teaching compassion, immaculate conception, all this kind of thing. So yes, it's all like, so these different stages of awakening, the hardest is to develop discernment, discrimination. Like, you'd have to ask yourself, why have I gone and put myself, since our wake up is to say, why are we creating this situation? Why am I attracting this right now? What is being magnetized? What's being reflected back to me? So then the minute that you're around somebody angry and rude, like cussing you, the question there is, okay, so I have attracted this. Why have I attracted this? Am I going to be able to stand steady and not aggravate it by them thinking, because most people that are in a fight and in a battle, which average humanity is in that, they're looking for a fight. They want you to fight. Then they will feel justified in their anger, their rage, and their separation. So that's the thing. So that's why it's the hardest initiation to go through, is to discern, discriminate. Is it valuable to my spiritual growth to hang out with this person today? Especially if we've got that martyrdom messiah complex that wants to fix people. So actually, that brings me to a thing. So I when 3 years ago, I think it was, I didn't realize I had breast cancer at the time. And I started to think, if I was to leave my body soon, what would I be leaving? And then I thought about my team that works with me on my retreats. And I thought, I feel the most important thing I could leave is to leave a training to it, because everything I'm sharing with you today is written in these books of esoteric psychology. They're very difficult to read. But they're great. I definitely think it's worth studying. But I felt like what I really want to bring people's awareness to is that there are these cosmic laws. They're not widely taught. I'm not making any of this stuff up. I'm not thinking I'm the guru, come and follow me. But I am interested in supporting people to study and come to their own self-realization, because to get off the emotional treadmill and discern and discriminate is one of the hardest things for people with great empathy and big hearts, because they will generally go into getting into a relationship with somebody that triggers them just like their mother did, or just like their father did, or just like their brother or their sister. And then they're back in the same old battle subconsciously, and using their relationship as their distraction to being at one with the source of creation and themselves. So it's, nobody can initiate anybody else. We have to do that inner work of becoming masterful at making the right choice at the right time. Do I give that person that looks like he takes heroin some money today, who's sitting on the street begging, or don't I? What is love? What is the right choice? What is the right action? Right action is what opens our crown chakra. It's not easy to take right action. You have to be able to discern, discriminate before you do it. Otherwise, you could just be an enabler. And then lots of us have gone through that. So, yeah, there are these different stages. And to discern, discriminate takes time out of your normal place where you're being judged, actually. You have to sometimes remove yourself from close family where you're held in a psychic web that keeps you to oh yeah, he's always irresponsible, he's not going to show up, and then there's all this other underlying stuff where people close to you will purposely try and trip you because of that Wetiko dark shadow energy that runs through families. Yeah, it's a really big thing, but maybe another day we can go into it.
Yeah, I guess as well as asking yourself the right questions in times of where you in times of like where you feel emotional, instead of asking, what has this person done to me, or why have they done this?
Yes.
It's about, because it's easy to get distracted and look externally,
Yeah,
instead of rather, what have I done to attract this? You
absolutely.
know?
Yeah.
And, you know, you mentioned about relationships, which is what I wanted to come on to next, which as we are talking, I was thinking in my head that, you know, relationships, being in a relationship with a partner is our best teacher, which brings everything up to the surface. And what are we going to do when these things come up? Like, I think for me, I've noticed within myself, I can only speak and give examples to myself. Hopefully other people can relate and take something from it. But yeah, relationships are our biggest teacher. And
Absolutely.
people think, it's nice to be free when you're single, but I found that being in a harmonious relationship with your partner, the freedom of that is actually
Yeah.
much more greater than being alone.
Oh, I love
And
that.
yeah, so relationships is the best teacher in
It
terms
is
of in terms of helping you evolve spiritually
completely.
and mentally.
It's a very beautiful mirror for you to see how aligned you are and how much wholeness is really happening. It really is. And it's actually my favorite subject. I don't know if you know this, but I'm literally in the launch of a couples course.
I've
And
actually got sorry to cut you off, but I've got the window open. I'm actually going to listen to your YouTube video on the couples thing. So
I'm so happy about that. You can't imagine, because I think
yeah,
of it as a mum for the children of the next 7 generations, that if
yeah,
a mother and a father can have harmonized their hearts and walk in that energy, like you say, of harmony, the children are going to grow up with their nervous systems balanced and feeling safe. That's going to produce a golden age, literally.
yes,
So I really feel excited, Julian, because I think I've been quite shy about this, but I come from lineages of the highest tantras. Tantras isn't about the focus on sex, by the way. It's about the purification of the mind to bring our own unified state of being at one with the one into our intimacy and lovemaking, so that there's a dissolution of mind that takes us to experience the cosmic orgasm in every cell of our body, the mother-father union, opening us into the light of liquid bliss. And there isn't more greater experience in the physical form. It's the ultimate state. And everybody yearns for it. And
yes,
very few people have any clue of how to get there. And actually, just even through the yearning, it ends up with a lot of sadness and grief with the lover that I've watched over the last 40 years since working with couples. So it just makes me so happy that I finally feel I am so ready to share, as a grandmother, all the wisdom to hold a container for this inspiration to happen, and the couples could work with each other, feeling these etheric energetic gateways of exquisite bliss.
yeah, yeah. The domino effect that comes from that, Rita. Like, I could just imagine it in my mind's eye, like seeing the future of a golden age where where our children, our future children, are just shining bright and living in true harmony with the true essence of themselves. And that's where my passion is. Now that I've got a
Yeah,
child, it's like our kids is our future, you
yeah,
know. So the more we nurture our young ones, the brighter the future is for the world.
it's true.
And I don't know if this is unfortunate, but I keep getting presented with I keep seeing a lot of families around me that struggle, you know, single parents,
Yeah,
and it kind of breaks my heart to see these children in situations like that. But at the same time, I also think, that's their journey. They've got
It is.
they've got a purpose. Just like how you say, like when you see people vaping and stuff, it's like, but who are you to tell them otherwise? And you can tell people, but you can't force them to take heed.
Yeah, I really hear that, but I do want to say this, having been a single parent, my partner died, just when I thought, oh, finally I'm with a beautiful man that's so kind to my sons. And, he dies of a road traffic accident when my daughter was 5 months old.
Yeah.
And so it was my destiny in that way, or my unconscious creation. It's all of it. But what I would say is that everybody has the capability, through the power of love, through their heart, through having invoked the Creator's guidance, love and support, and to connect with the solar angel that's walked with us from the beginning of time. Each of us has an appointed solar angel, sometimes called the guardian angel. We all have that. When we actually trust the power of prayer and ask for what it is that we need to unravel, the karma that we've created, magic happens.
Yeah.
Beauty happens. I'm so grateful. I just bear witness to this everywhere I go, all over the world. And that level of support is here to fast track our awakening and clear the chaos to bring it back to cosmic divine order. It's never too late. I've seen this now. My children are in incredible harmony with themselves and with each other, having gone through enormous levels of ups and downs and ins and outs. And then I'm seeing the power of the prayers I've made for all these last 12, 15 years manifesting in the gift of the beauty that's unfolding for my own grandchildren.
That's amazing.
That is amazing, because they have been born so deep into love and presence, even to the point, actually, that without thought or anything, it's manifested that I live in an amazing house where my son and his wife and my 2 granddaughters live downstairs and they have their own apartment, the garden, but if they want, they can come up and say, Nana, please, can you do my hair for me before school this morning? Or come and get into bed for a cuddle, or come say, can we paint today? Like, that's magical. I love that. I could never have conceived of doing that as a plan. This is definitely the manifestation of the power of prayers to unravel where there's been grief for generations.
So it's having that belief, and I'm speaking. My voice is for everyone in the world that's struggling. Some people can't find that that faith in the unknown.
Oh yeah.
To pray, and there's always that doubt, which it's like you plant a seed in your head, but that doubt stops it from growing. And people want to see results straight away. Yes, I prayed, but I never got it.
Yeah.
And this and that,
So what I would say to that, Julio, is this. If anybody watching this that doesn't even believe that there's a creator because you've experienced so much suffering and it looks too chaotic to be possible, I'd love to invite you right now to just take this moment to open yourself to the love, the light, the wisdom, and the warmth that actually surrounds you, that's giving you shelter, that gave you water to drink today. This ground underneath you being the Great Mother's body. And I ask you that whatever created the situation where you don't feel that you've got enough, that you don't feel prosperous, that you feel closed off from your own heart, I'd like to invite you in this moment just to experiment with how it would feel if you were to allow love to enter you. that you allow yourself to be held in love. To, in this moment, to bring your awareness to the base of your spine and consciously open yourself to the Great Mother, to trust the Great Mother beyond your mother, to hold you, that loves you unconditionally, to allow her love to hold you in her lap, and to know that you are stainless purity that deserves love. And that I invite you to hold that little boy inside you or that little girl inside you that is you, to call back the places you've abandoned yourself. And to commit, for the sake of your own inner child, to allow the universe, the universal law of light and love and wisdom, to nurture you, even if you weren't nurtured. Really hold this prayer with you right now, that you can allow the universe, that we program our dream that we're in. We program it through our belief systems of our subconscious. And if you weren't nurtured and you believe that you're a victim and life is horrible and hard and difficult and that you never have enough, then you'll continue to program that through your unconscious. So I'm really asking you to say these words with me, calling in the holy I am presence of all that you have ever been. That I am safe. It's safe for me to exist here. I'm ready to take my place. I am ready for love to hold me. I am ready for grace to support me. I am worthy of your love. And I ask you to take a breath into your heart, in the center of your chest, to deep breath in through your nose, to hold that breath in this offering of all the suffering that you've gone through, to be lifted for the sake of the 7 generations that are to come after you. Thank you for your life. Thank you for everything you're transmuting and healing for the sake of your ancestors. And I pray with all my heart today that you can remember who you are, why you came here, and that you can know that you are worthy of everything. A homotak blessing.
Just listening to you pray there, Rita, I'm just thinking I'm thinking of the people that are just so lost and thinking if they could just really listen to that prayer and really focus in on the heart and love and loving themselves, with time those walls and those barriers will just slowly disappear, and they can be open to be able to receive love and give love, and to live in harmony with themselves, and not to have roadblocks every time they try and do something, and just to open their hearts. I really felt that it can benefit a lot of people if they could just sit with it and listen to your prayer and just hold on to that thought of like being nurtured, being loved. And it's hard for people who are closed off to actually imagine it and sit in it. But practice, things take time, don't they?
Listen, it happens. We're all in a divine plan, that the ripening in that moment, like for me, I had to go into the gate of hell before I had the humility to say, Creator, I am lost. Please hold my hand and pull me out. And very quickly and immediately, everything started to unravel for me. And within a year of that, I was in a Kundalini awakening. So it can look grim right now,
Mm.
But I trust the transmission of that prayer. Anybody that closes their eyes and takes a breath and connects with the holy I am presence of all that they've ever been and all that they ever will be is connecting to that spirit. And I trust in each person's unfolding because we all have our time. And it's like you cannot ripen the mango on the tree until
Yeah.
it's ripe. And basically, it's the same for all of us. And that's the beauty. This
Yeah.
is about the evolution, spiritual evolution of each human being. Thank
Yeah.
you for having me here today, Julio.
You're
It's been really a good
you're
conversation.
very welcome, Rita. I'm just so honored that I could have this one-on-one time with you, not just for
Mm,
us, but for everyone as well.
yeah.
It's not selfish in any way. I absolutely thank you so much. Words can't describe how
Mm,
honored I am.
mm.
I was gonna say something, but it's gone out my head,
Oh.
which just go with the flow, right? Oh, Rita,
Mm,
thank
thank
you so
you.
much. Thank you,
Mm.
thank you, thank you so much.
Bless you, darling. I really appreciate you and all the people that you're going to touch with your work, Julio. I see you, brother.
Yeah, thank you, Rita. Thank
Mm.
you. Yeah. Well, it's worked for me, and a lot of things have worked for me. I'd love to share the love with everybody else, but only when they're ready. Is
Mm.
when they're ready to receive and open their hearts to it. But yeah, I was actually going to say, I've remembered what I was going to say.
Okay.
So there's a pattern I've noticed in people, and as well as myself, to get to an awakening, and this awakening comes through suffering and so many things until you just surrender to yourself. Until you
Mm-hmm.
surrender, I think that's the key. There is just to surrender to the unknown, and it literally is the unknown.
It is.
The world is so mysterious. There's so many things that we don't know and we cannot explain whatsoever. So it's just having that faith and surrender to the will of the divine. And if you live in harmony, in being righteous with yourself and everybody else, how you speak and stuff, and things just happen beautifully.
It's,
Right now, the way I'm living my life is just going with the flow. Wherever I'm called, I either say yes or I say no. It's just go with it. Just go with what I'm feeling in the moment, and I'm living from the heart, and that's it's very, very interesting. Life is beautiful,
it is
every
very
aspect of it.
interesting, isn't it? It's a
Yeah,
whole different dimension of unfurling. But listen, I could talk to you forever about this. And maybe
yeah,
we'll do another podcast where we go deeper into it because I like talking to you and it feels really important to continue this conversation.
yes. Please,
Mm,
let's. We can
mm.
do this anytime, Rita. Anytime. I'm all for it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Yes. So, Rita, as we
Yes.
close up, would you like to just say anything to the viewers, especially about your Ageless Wisdom course? If people want to go and find out and probably come and study with you to learn more about themselves and the world that we live in.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
please share whatever's in your heart.
Okay. Well, I mentioned it earlier that, when I began to realize life is short, I might not have much time here, but I've had an enormous amount of training to get to this point to be able to articulate like this and transmit this level of seeing that's inspiring. It really helped me understand, like, wow, don't waste this life. Don't waste this last possible 20 years or so. And it made me actually understand that I need to be able to share a very unique perspective. I've worked extensively with plant medicines for 20 years or so, and I've got a very deep, in depth study and understanding of what happens when Kundalini rises to the crown and all the different stages of awakening. And I wanted to inspire people and take them on this shamanic journey where they're coming into their self-realization, there's of stopping to be frightened of being at one with themselves. stopping avoiding themselves and to make a conscious shamanic journey internally. So I created this 12-month shamanic training, which over 300 people have done now. And I feel so humbled by that, because had I have not come close to death, actually, and been having breast cancer at the time, I wouldn't have gone deep to have the confidence and courage to think what I have was important to share. And I could have just carried on doing what I did, which was, burning myself out, actually. And I've changed my life very considerably since. And I'm just so happy to have shared it. And all the people that have done it, so many of them have gone on to become powerful space holders within their own work. Beautiful cacao ceremonies and all sorts of different types of things that they're offering. And it's just been humbling to see people's acceleration through their unification with themselves and how their lives have completely come into fulfillment. So that's my Ageless Wisdom training, which you can find on my website, which I'm sure will be linked to this. And then, as I mentioned, just this incredible thing that I'm so excited about, because I'm literally starting it very soon, is a conscious couples container that is going to be on white tantra and harmonizing hearts, mind, body, where you can come to a whole new level of lovemaking, where it's transfigured from lust into love. It's a really different frequency of energy that opens you etherically to be able to journey through each other atomically, shamanically, and that you offer yourself consciously to the beloved that you're in relationship with, that you make your relationship your spiritual practice. That's very far out. It's not ever been offered before. And I feel very inspired to do this, like I say, for the children of the future.
And for the couples that are in a relationship with each other, just so beautiful. Yeah, I'm looking forward to everything that's yet to unfold. And I look forward to catching up with you again when I next see you, Rita.
Yeah.
Have a dance and a boogie.
Yes, I hope so. Thank you again, brother.
Yes, thank you, Rita. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Have a beautiful evening.